Hi, Rod Reverend here. We're looking at a Holley 4000. This is a 56 model year. I've made some changes here. I've blocked off with the original spark control valve there. And then I've also got this vacuum port that I've modified. There's another video here on the channel you can look at. I am going to put all of my Holley 4000 videos into a separate playlist. That way you guys can access them. But I've had so much the last month or so about how to tune these carburetors, what goes into it. This was one I've obviously rebuilt. I do run a Lincoln variant, a little larger CFM on my 1955 Ford Fairlane Club sedan. I like how it performs.
Let's get into it here, see what she does. $4,000, easy. Feel the secondaries open up. She's doing good. Feels good.
Actually got that from a subscriber, very generous, and things running very well. Now, a couple things here, we'll get into this. I'm crazy enough, I have my own binder. You can see it here, and got some period stuff. I've got the 55 unit, and then I've also got the manual for the 56 as well. I highly encourage you. Look at shop manuals. I've got some links in the description that'll help you out if you don't know these very well. Read up on it. It's not a bad carburetor. It runs good if you maintain it. Ford used these in 56 and 57 on the two 4-barrel setups, and Ford also used it in 1957 for their supercharger setup. Won a lot of races in 56 and 57 in NASCAR, Pikes Peak, quarter mile, everything else. So these guys that kind of hem and haw about these carburetors, they don't know what they're talking about, to be frank. So let's go over this very quickly just to explain. 54, 55 models will have a divorce choke on the intake manifold. Here, obviously, we've got the choke on the throttle body. Now, the 4 different areas where you need to tune or make adjustments, we'll walk through it. First one here is just your curb idle. And this is basically your setting for idle when the engine's warm, you're operating just like normal. This is your curb idle. This is obviously where your linkage arm to your accelerator pedal goes back to a bell crank or something of that nature, to your firewall for your intake manifold. And of course, you spin this back. We know that we open up the butterflies. It's kind of simplistic. Up front, as a carburetor sits here on an intake manifold, we've got our idle mixture screws. So you've got, without really saying it, you got 2 barrels there that are primaries. These are secondaries fed off of your vacuum pot right here on demand. And then you've also got your choke, right? And then just not your choke, but you've also got right here your fast idle cam. And you can see there's a screw right there to make that adjustment. So let me walk through all of these for you just to let you know how this ought to be adjusted. If you say it like a baseline, it'll probably be good to know. Let's get into it. All right, for any carburetor that's sent to me or working on my own, whatever it might be, the first thing I will do, I will take the idle mixture screws here. Okay, you can tell where the passages are at, and they come down to the throttle body. And you turn the carburetor over, you can tell here where the idle passages are going to be feeding the engine, the intake manifold. But what I like to do is take these, lightly seat them. That means screw them in clockwise. And these are knurled on the end, so you can do it by finger. You can also use a screwdriver. It's kind of simplistic. But just take and lightly seat that sucker. And then what you want to do after it's seated is, for an initial baseline, I like to go half a turn and then a full turn just to get started. Okay, now understand how these work. What these idle mixture screws are doing, they're making adjustments to how much fuel is being led through the passage. So the more that you tighten these, the more that you're closing off fuel. And the more that you open them, the more fuel is getting into the idle passages. So that's very important to remember Again, lightly seat these, don't booger these up. These are brass. This pot metal here will rough up the brass. A lot of times when I rebuild these carburetors, you got to get new idle mixture screws. So baseline, I like these days with modern fuel, just a turn and a half, okay? Next thing I'll do is adjust the curb idle. Now you can see right here, we're not even hitting our little stud. And why is that? Well, the way these are made, you've got a cam over here for your fast idle. And you see how this screw is hitting up against that cam. What you need to do, back off the cam, right? And that way, you turn this back around, you can see that now we are right up against that stud, okay? Now, when we're there, what we need to do is look at our butterflies. And when you look at your primary butterflies, what you're looking for is a really small passageway. And I'm going to try to get the camera here, flip this upside down. Give me a second, kind of zoom in so we can take a look at this, maybe even get a little bit better light so you can see what we're looking for with this passage. Hey guys, a real quick commercial here. Give us just a minute. I want to tell you about these two thick manuals that I have for sale on the website and also the engine manual from Ford. Hang on. Hey guys, Rod Reverend here. I've got the best option for you, the best way you can spend $20 on your project if you own a 1949 to a 1959 Ford passenger car, and that is this. I've got both of these manuals. Now, these are almost 1,000 pages long. These are the Ford parts manuals. Now, this edition is 1964. I've got the text catalog that has all of the part numbers, what the parts are named, what they're called. It's all organized very well. And then, of course, I've also got the book that has all of the illustrations in it. This is for everything: body parts, mechanicals, trim. A lot of questions get answered by these books, and the great, wonderful thing about this is that what you can do, you can print this off online. Let me show you how this works here on the website. What you do is you go to the website here. I'll take you through the process. You see the listing here on my website, hotrodreverend.com, in the shop. When you click on this and you determine, hey, I'm going to buy this, you pay $20. What happens is you get a link that is sent to you to download these files. Now, I've got more than just these two books. I'll talk about that in a minute. But you get these books. These are the anchors. These are the best part, I guess I should say, of getting this. So what happens is you download all the files with that link. It's a zip file. That means it's compressed. You have to unzip it, put it in a folder on your computer so you can access it later on. Now, these are both in what's called a PDF. Basically, that means this is organized, and what you can do is just scroll through the pages, and you can click on any page you want. You can zoom in, zoom out. The wonderful thing about this is that instead of using original manuals and paying a hefty price and dirtying up different things or whatever you might need, is real bulky, you can just print off the page that you need, take this with you to the garage, and work on whatever you want. When you're done, take the paper and just throw it away. It's not a problem. Secondly, if you're going to a swap meet, this is just invaluable information here. What you can do is print off a page of part numbers that you might need, and you can use these part numbers as a reference. If you need illustrations, of course, you can print those off. But again, once you're done with this, hey, just take it and throw it away. It's not a problem. You don't have to worry about ruining or damaging your original manuals because you now got it in a digital file format. Also included in this download is Ford's late 50s engine manual. Now, there are a lot of pages to this, and you can see here, I think there's almost 100 or so. I'll put this up here on the screen for you. This is just a sample page at the beginning. You've got the 6-cylinder, of course, that's in this. You've got the early FE engine that's in this, and of course what we feature here on hotrodreverend.com and on the channel is the Y block as well. These are very good pages, specifics, updates, both in these manuals from 1964 and also in the engine manual. Also in the download are a lot of pictures, a lot of freebies, a lot of other things. There's some Paxton McCulloch information on there, the supercharger. There's the overdrive transmission, the 3-speed overdrive, the Borg Warner.
the 259s and the T85s that came out there in the 50s. There's some great information on that. Lots of tech that you can download and print off whatever you need. I guarantee you this is the best way to spend $20 on your project in the garage. You can't go wrong by getting a hold of these digital files. Buy them today.
All right, trying to put some more light on the subject here. You can look in there, you see to the center of the screen is a hole, and that goes to the vacuum port. So if you just follow right here, that goes to my timing port. This is actually a passageway up here to the original distributor vacuum line. But you also can see in here, they're very small, but you've got in here a couple of passages that are feeding fuel right there. You see them, 1, 2, and then also on this board as well. Apologize for the light. There you go. You probably see it a little bit better now here on the right-hand side, pointing to both of those. So what you want to do is make sure with your butterflies is that you almost have that vacuum port open. Not quite, but almost. And you can see I'm right there to the top of it. Because once I expose this, obviously I'm going to get full vacuum to the distributor line, and then we're going to open up these ports, and the vacuum will just suck fuel through those transfer slots. So what we want to do is just make sure that we've got a baseline there for the idle that we're set, and we're very just at the top of where that vacuum passage is at there on the passenger side. All right, next is going to be our choke, and this is the original thermostatic choke. This line here would go to a port off of the intake manifold for heat, and the heat from the exhaust is what warms this up inside. Understand, inside this housing, there is a vacuum created, a passage here inside one of these bores that is trying to pull hot air through here to actuate the thermostatic choke. Now, it's kind of simplistic. You can see here what lean means, of course, is that we're going to add more air. And the other way is to close off these choke plates to where you're getting less air and more fuel. The biggest thing to note here, chokes are kind of simplistic. I'm going to go through all that with you. But so just to explain, I've got the cap loosened up, and you can tell just spinning the cap how it closes the plates or opens them. What I like to do is rotate it to where it just barely closes, set the choke right there, see how it operates. Once it's up to operating temperature and I'm running my engine, just ensuring that the choke plates are wide open. Then after it cools down, it's completely shut off, cooled for at least several hours, and make sure that the plates have come back to full close position. Now I've got the choke cap removed, of course. This is the thermostatic job, and you can tell that there's a lever right there that operates those choke plates. Certainly want to make sure that spins freely. You also want to make sure inside of the cap here that you're all clean and you don't have any soot, any carbon buildup. Is our fast idle cam down here. And you can see that this is kind of stepped. You look at the middle of the screen, it's kind of stepped and graduated. See the end of that screw right there. We've got some graduated steps. So what happens is when you have this hooked up, and let me just show you. I'm going to make sure these are completely closed. Okay. So let's close our butterflies here. All right. Okay, so what happens is when you're in the car and you hit the gas pedal and you set the choke, if I can say it that way. Now let's look at our butterflies. You can see where our butterflies are now more open, right? What's happened is we've gone to fast idle setting, and our stud right here, our set screw, excuse me, is up against this cam, right? So what you want to do with this is to make sure that this screw is backed off enough to where your fast idle setting is correct. And what I like to do on this, I've already got this one set. You can see where I've got these opened up a little bit. And you can play with this a little bit. You can do it back and forth, but off the engine when you're setting this up, I don't really have a particular measurement, but you can see how much these butterflies are opened. I like to open them up that much. You know that what that represents is that the fast idle is set. We know what's going to happen when the hot air enters the choke and it backs off. When the choke plates are fully open, what ends up happening here, you can tell with the mechanism, is it takes this cam and kind of backs it off to where, because of its weight right here, it'll sit down, and then every time that we hit the butterflies, we're good to go. So that's the fourth setting there, really, is where you're talking about your choke would be your third. And you guys know that when you loosen up these three screws, I hope this isn't insulting anyone's intelligence. You could spin this and you'll get your choke plates closed or open. It's kind of a simplistic idea. Now, there are more adjustments inside the carburetor. We know there's a float in here that we can set. Technically here for the secondaries, there's really nothing you can do to manipulate the secondaries to do anything to adjust those on the carburetor. You can change out your spring in here to go with the lighter spring from Holley to make your secondaries open up quicker. That's really the only thing you can do with this, with any kind of adjustment with the secondaries at all. These are vacuum. Now, there is one other adjustment here. This is a vented rod that goes up through to our fuel bowl for the accelerator pump that you can change the linkage here. But really, there are only two settings. You got one for quote-unquote summer, one for winter, one that gives a better shot or more shot of fuel with the accelerator pump, one that gives a lesser shot of fuel. Typically, a lot of guys don't mess with these too much. With ethanol fuel, especially, I like to leave it on a richer setting. I will say this: if you're running ethanol fuel on your Holley 4000, you may want to go with jet sizes, maybe a couple jet sizes larger than what you have for your primaries. But these carburetors are fine. They run good. Check out the playlist. Not a big deal here to get these things tuned and running right and working on your Y block.